Pope Leo XIV stood at the tomb of St. Paul and said something that will define his papacy.
Noi siamo uno, lo siamo già, riconosciamolo, sperimentiamolo, manifestiamolo.
He wasn't talking to Catholics. He was talking to all Christians, Orthodox, Anglican, Protestant, gathered at the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls for the closing of the week of prayer for Christian unity. This wasn't diplomatic language. This was a declaration, and it matters. January 25th is the feast of the conversion of St. Paul, and every year it marks the end of the week of prayer for Christian unity. 8 days when Christians from all denominations pray together for reconciliation. But this year was different. Pope Leo XIV has been Pope for just 8 months, and in that time, he's already shown he won't play it safe on ecumenism. Remember, last November, he traveled to Turkey and Lebanon. In Iznik, ancient Nicaea, he stood with ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew and representatives from multiple Christian traditions to commemorate the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea. They recited the Nicene Creed together, in the very place where it was written. That was historic.
So Candace Owens has just announced she has joined the Catholic Church. What is happening? Shia LaBeouf just converted to the Catholic Church. Rob Schneider has just entered the Catholic Church. You can do it! I mean, at this rate, I'm waiting for DiCaprio to announce he's joining the priesthood. Jordan Peterson's wife, Tammy Peterson, just became Catholic. Is Jordan Peterson next? Actor/comedian Gad Elmaleh just converted. I need a water break. Oh, we have some other notable mentions here. Former Anglican Bishop Richard Payne just joined the church. Former atheist/pro-life activist Kristen Turner. Former porn star Bree Solstad. God is good. Former Protestant YouTube host Cameron Bertuzzi, baby. Former philosopher/political activist Eva Vladingerbrook, who I didn't even know I was in love with till yesterday. I mean, Russell Brand is now praying the rosary on YouTube. What is happening right now?
In recent times, Christianity has been experiencing a return to the roots, and in particular, increased popularity of Catholicism. I have noticed more people and celebrities promoting going back to the roots of Christianity and going back to the Catholic Church. There is definitely a surge in popularity among young people who are tired of charismatic or secular type of Christianity and think that going back to more traditional and structural religion is what will help them make sense of declining morality and injustice in the world.
I see so many people in my own life and on social media who, especially men too, who are leaving charismatic and non-denominational churches and going towards these high church denominations. And not just men, obviously. I know a lot of women who are too. But it's interesting that a lot of people are starting to research this at the same time. And it made me think, like, why is that? And so I was thinking about it over the last week, and I was kind of thinking about and doing research on, like, am I just seeing this? But no, this is like a really big movement right now.
It shows that 35% of the 18 to 34 age group say that they are Catholic and 11% are Pentecostal, while 25% identify as Anglican. The figures emerged in survey The Quiet Revival, published by Bible Society, which reveals that young adults aged between 18 to 34 are among those newly drawn to Christian beliefs after years of declining congregations, with renewed interest not only in being part of a church, but also prayer, reading the Bible, and social activism based on faith. What we also see on political arena, and especially steering by the Vatican and Pope Leo XIV, and also recently by the Turning Point USA, is spread of Christian Ecumenism. Ecumenism is a movement to promote cooperation and Christian unity among different Christian denominations. It is rooted in the belief that Christians should work together to overcome differences and to develop closer relationships between their churches and different denominations. This movement aims for universal Christian unity, often through organizations like the World Council of Churches, and involves activities like shared prayer services and ecumenical dialogue. This is a very interesting move that clearly is leading us towards one world religion, and a move that clearly happened before, Babylonian religion. First, Christianity experienced division due to the different interpretations of the Bible, and in particular, interpretation of the letters of the Apostle Paul. Early Christianity was a time of many versions of Christian thought, and Orthodox Christianity wasn't the only one or the one most believed in. When Emperor Constantine came to power, he was facing an empire torn apart by civil wars and conflicting beliefs. The empire was losing its spiritual unity and chaos was spreading through the provinces. Constantine saw Christianity not as a religion, but as a political tool, a tool that could unify the empire. However, once Christianity officially formed at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, this was a pivotal moment of shaping Christianity into unified and orthodox religion. The council's role was to settle theological disputes, leading to a foundational statement of faith that, while not ending all division, created a common doctrinal basis for the emerging imperial church. That was until division started, first with the Great Schism of 1054 between Eastern Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism, and later with the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. These events resulted in a deep and lasting separations within Christianity. For centuries, relations between denominations were often marked by hostility, mutual suspicion, and competition. However, by the late 19th and early 20th centuries, changing social conditions, global missionary efforts, and increased communication between churches, this created an environment more conducive to cooperation. However, the road to one world religion or unified Christianity is not a quick event, and planting seeds started after the World War II. One of the most significant developments in the spread of ecumenism was the establishment of the World Council of Churches in 1948. The World Council of Churches brought together Protestant, Anglican, and Orthodox churches from around the world to promote unity, peace, and social justice. While the Roman Catholic Church is not a formal member, it has cooperated closely with the Council. Through assemblies, theological commissions, and humanitarian programs, the World Council of Churches has played a crucial role in expanding ecumenical awareness on a global scale. The Roman Catholic Church's relationship with ecumenism changed dramatically during the Second Vatican Council between 1962 to 1965. Prior to this, Catholicism largely viewed itself as the sole true church and approached other denominations with caution. Second Vatican Council, however, acknowledged the presence of Christian truth outside of the Catholic Church and encouraged dialogue and cooperation with other Christian denominations. Documents such as Unitatis Redintegratio emphasized shared faith in Christ and called for mutual understanding and reconciliation. This shift greatly accelerated the spread and legitimacy of ecumenical efforts worldwide. What we currently see the Catholic Church is doing is expanding its arms towards other religions in the name of coexistence and unity. During an interreligious youth meeting in Singapore in September 2024, Pope Francis said that other religions are like different languages that express the divine, using the analogy to emphasize that while there is only one God, various faiths provide different paths to approach Him. Pope Francis argued against the idea of one religion being more important than another. His comments sparked controversy, with some critics accusing him of promoting religious pluralism, while supporters defended his view by pointing to the Catholic Church's long history of believing in God's universal grace. The current Pope, Pope Leo, is continuing what work Pope Francis started and expanding the Church to different religions. We see now Vatican opening a special Muslim prayer room in October 2025. The same time, King Charles, the head of the Church of England, praying with Pope in Vatican. This historic ecumenical service marked the first time a British monarch, who is the supreme governor of the Church of England, had prayed publicly with the Pope in nearly 500 years. Since the Reformation, and of course the Abrahamic family house, which purpose was to promote understanding, tolerance, and peaceful coexistence between Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, the three major Abrahamic faiths, by providing a space for them to worship and learn about one another's traditions without hierarchy. This year, we can see the work of Pope Leo towards spreading the message on Christian ecumenism is gaining momentum even more and being supported on the political arena. In January 2026, Pope Leo XIV, speaking to Catholic, Orthodox, Anglican, and Protestant leaders gathered for the Week of Prayer for Christian Unity, declared that Christian unity isn't aspirational, but it's foundational. And he set a timeline for 2033 for the 2000th anniversary of Easter. This builds up on Pope Leo's November 2025 trip to Nicaea, where he and the Patriarch Bartholomew recited the Nicene Creed together. It shows that ecumenism is central to his papacy. I would like you to notice that this echoes the times of Roman Empire being torn by conflicts and civil wars or rumor of wars, and Constantine saw Christian unity as a political tool. In 325 AD, at the Council of Nicaea, bishops from across the empire gathered not to seek divine truth, but to establish political order. And as we know, history likes to repeat itself. We can be witnessing a slow cohesion towards a newly formed religion where Catholic Church would be the leader of. Another important event that is accelerating the ecumenical movement was Memorial of Charlie Kirk and the work of the Turning Point USA. What we have seen since Charlie Kirk's assassination is that TPUSA has been promoting ecumenicalism and Christian unity, regardless of differences on views like salvation, the law of God, Trinity, and a day of worship. Ecumenism will allow them to implement more universal rules and universal day of worship. Charlie was also standing for Christian ecumenism, and he preached on ecumenical gospel. He platformed and praised many different denominations and false prophets. He was sympathetic to Mormonism, Catholicism, and Freemasonry. He shared some biblical facts and talked about Jesus, but he also mixed denominations and stood for Christian nationalism. This is problematic because he also used faith as a political tool, and he didn't stand for what God is standing for. His stand on American nationalism and igniting national pride was very much contradicting with the Bible. In his recent book, Stop in the Name of God, although he calls for Sabbath observance, however, in the book he is sympathetic to the Sunday observance as well. In his message, the focus is more on family, mental health, break from work, rather than strictly following the seventh-day Sabbath and the Word of God. His message could be understood as, if it's easier to follow Saturday, then follow Saturday, but if it's easier to follow Sunday, then follow Sunday. This puts Sabbath observance as optional, as selective obedience towards the law of God. And of course, as the system is set up for Sunday, no church will change it to Saturday, and everyone will continue with Sunday observance. This will be under many excuses like, God is happy that we follow Him anyway, and we are observing Lord's Day, and Jesus is our Sabbath, and we should worship Him every day. Lots of excuses that I've heard before, all to justify decision on the words of men over the words of God. There is also another reason why Christian ecumenism is being pushed right now. In my other video on the beast from Revelation 13, I expressed that I believe America to be the new Rome and the seventh head of the beast from the book of Revelation 13. This means that America is aiming to merge church and state together and to be able to implement new laws on the political and religious arena. If we then take that America is the seventh head of the beast, Donald Trump is the king of that beast, and therefore the mark of the beast will come from America. What TPUSA is doing is essentially being that turning point of merging church and state and bringing back this Roman Empire power to soon be able to enforce religious laws. One of those laws will be Sunday observance, which we can now see being pushed under the comeback for family values, mental health, and unity. While I of course agree with those aspects, however on Sabbath, not Sunday. How Christian ecumenism would take us back to Babylonian times. To understand what is coming, it is important to look at the history and Babylonian times. Babylon was the capital of the Babylonian Empire, located in Shinar in ancient Mesopotamia on the eastern bank of Euphrates River. Babylonian religion was primarily a polytheistic faith formed by integrating several older Sumerian and Akkadian belief systems into unified pantheon, which was subsequently reorganized to elevate the state god Marduk. As Babylon rose to power, local deities from cities like Nippur, Eridu, and Uruk were integrated into the national pantheon under the supreme authority of Babylon's patron god Marduk. It created this centralized system where essentially it was not one pure religion but a long-term merging of multiple regional Mesopotamian faiths into a single, evolving, state-driven religious tradition. Therefore, as you can see, the goal was not to force everyone into one set of beliefs and one religion, but more one centralized system with more hierarchy and one political goal. The goal was to build a Tower of Babel that could reach the sky with its top into the heavens. The inhabitants of the city said, "Let us make a name for ourselves." This was against God, and God disrupted their work by confusing the language of the people so that they could no longer understand one another, and they were separated into different parts of the world. The tower represented pride and disobedience towards God's plan for humanity. It was a time when people thought, let's take things into our hands, and why do we need God for? What do we need to notice is the fact that Babylon didn't really have one religion, but a system where those religions were cooperating together and were integrated. It also characterized itself with one main deity, Marduk, and one political goal. Babylon also enjoyed some financial benefits from the control of spring floods. The city of Babylon was built on both sides of the Euphrates, protected by large, steep, built-up banks to contain the river during its annual floods. The Euphrates was managed by a double channel, which allowed the river to pass through the city while preventing the catastrophic flooding. Large storage basins were dug to manage the flow of water and store it for irrigation, ensuring the city was safe from floods and starvation. Good times brought pride. Pride brought disobedience. Disobedience brought arrogant ambition. It's not to say that unity is bad or that good and prosperous times are bad, but in the case of Babylonian times, it brought immorality, selfishness, and that would quickly turn into humanitarian disaster. The cooperation was only for the purpose of building the tower and the system. However, once goal would have been achieved, that would bring chaos fueled by pride and arrogance. We can say our times are moving towards the same scenario. With one centralized system, digital currencies, merging traditions and religious views. We might not be building a physical tower, however, we already have a center or headquarters for this cohesion to expand. Abrahamic Family House. In 2019, Pope Francis signed joint declaration titled A Document of Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together, along Sheikh Ahmed El Tayeb. It calls on world's leaders to work strenuously to spread the culture of tolerance and of living together in peace, to intervene at the earliest opportunity, to stop the shedding of innocent blood and bring an end to wars, conflicts, environmental decay, and the moral and cultural decline that the world is presently experiencing. The Abrahamic Family House opened in March 2023 to bring understanding and tolerance among the faiths with 3 buildings, one building each representing the mosque, the church, and the synagogue. The project has been recognized as world's greatest place by Time magazine in 2024 for its efforts to promote peaceful coexistence. The Abrahamic House serves as a physical manifestation of the document on human fraternity signed by Pope Francis and Grand Imam Ahmed Al Tayeb in 2019, but also symbolizes architectural unity. Therefore, this can definitely take us to the Babylonian times of the Tower of Babel, while it's not situated on the river, but also surrounded by waters. It is also important to mention about the idolatry that Babylonian times represented. Idolatry was a state-sponsored, polytheistic system centered on worshipping physical statues as literal dwellings for deities, such as Marduk, Ishtar, and Nabu. In other words, it was a time when governments recognized, funded, and promoted the worship of multiple deities, usually to unify diverse territories, legitimize the ruler's authority, and maintain public order. One can say, but you are wrong, Catholicism doesn't worship any other gods but Jesus. Well, not only, which I'll explain in a minute. While Babylonians worshipped many gods, Marduk was the supreme patron god, with others like Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, and Nabu, the god of wisdom, being prominent. Ishtar was a goddess with many names that later morphed into different representations. All gods had representative statues and figures which people were praying to. The cultic worship involved ritual care of the idols and preserving those statues. And this is one of the main problems or differences when we look at Christian ecumenism. While Catholic Church is full of different statues and figures, where each church is proudly presenting, often adorned with gold and colorful flowers. It is definitely aesthetically pleasing experience. However, Protestant Christianity does not have any statues in churches. Why the difference? First of all, Catholic Church, apart from the Bible, takes their traditions and wisdom from Catechism. This is where we find out not only 10 Commandments, but also 7 deadly sins, an explanation on sacraments that are essential to achieve salvation according to the Church. Up until recently, Catholic Church was under the strong impression that they are the only true Church, and therefore salvation can only come from Catholic Church.
Julia says, did I hear you say that Jesus wants all of us to be Catholic? Yes, he wants all of us to be saved. He wants all of us to be in heaven. It's saying the same thing. Julia says, are other denominations and churches not worthy of heaven? No, they are not. They are not. Only the church Christ established. And only if we keep his commandments and we're baptized and we follow the teachings that he's given. No one else is worthy of heaven.
However, during the Second Vatican Council between 1962 to 1965, Catholic Church clarified that salvation is possible for those outside its visible bounds, specifically in documents like Lumen Gentium. While maintaining that the Church is necessary for salvation, it acknowledged that those, through no fault of their own, do not know Christ or the Church, but seek God sincerely, may achieve eternal salvation. This, however, haven't changed the overall public assumptions, and many Catholics are attached to the Church with the fear of losing salvation. This is one of the manipulative tactics of the Church. Going back to the idol worship, Catholic Church in the Catechism conveniently changed 10 commandments and took away the second commandment, while splitting the 10 commandments into 2 to make up for the lost commandment. Why? Because the Church is full of idols and statues and wouldn't want the general public to know about their disobedience towards God. When we read the Bible, it is very clear. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. Exodus 20, verse 4-6. Take careful heed to yourselves, for you saw no form when the Lord spoke to you at Horeb, out of the midst of the fire, lest you act corruptly and make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water beneath the earth. And take heed, lest you lift your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the hosts of heaven, You felt driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord your God has given to all the people under the whole heaven as a heritage. Deuteronomy 4, verse 15 to 19. It is very clear we should not create any carved images of any form, yet every Catholic church is full of those statues. This takes us to another deception of Catholic Church, Mary worship. Yes, I keep hearing that Catholic Church does not worship Mary, but what is worship? Worship is the act of showing deep reverence, adoration, and honor towards a divine being or sacred object. It involves recognizing the supreme worth of God through both formal, communal rituals like singing, prayer, sacraments, and a lifestyle of daily devotion, submission, and service. What we have in Catholicism is Mary devotion in the month of May and daily Mary devotion, prayers to our Blessed Mother, songs to Mary, 3 sacramentals instituted by the Blessed Virgin Mary, veneration of Mary, which is the act of showing profound respect, awe, and deep honor to Mary. If that's not worship, then I don't know what is. I spoke about Ishtar having many names, and I would like to present you Ishtar disguised as Mary worship in Catholic Church. Mary is often depicted as Madonna, a blessed virgin, and presented as a mother carrying baby Jesus. This depiction has a lot of similarities to Semiramis and Nimrod. Semiramis was a queen consort and the mother of Nimrod, the builder of the Tower of Babel. Their incestuous relationship gave birth to Tammuz, believed to be a deity and divine creation. From there, Semiramis have been worshipped as the Queen of Heaven in the Babylonian times. Through research and looking at the origins of the Catholic Church, we can see that Catholic Church is basing their beliefs on the pagan worship of Nimrod. This claim made by Alexander Hislop in his book The Two Babylons, where Hislop argued that the Catholic Church was founded by Semiramis and Nimrod to spread the ancient Babylonian religion. He traced Catholic doctrines back to the worship of Nimrod and his wife. Hislop also claimed that the Pope represents Belshazzar, the king of Babylon from the book of Daniel, and that the Christogram IHS represents Isis, Horus, and Seb. Hislop believed that Nimrod and Semiramis were the founders of Babylonian mystery religion that later spread globally, with Semiramis being worshipped in different cultures under various names like Isis, Diana, Venus, or Madonna. Botticelli's famous painting, The Birth of Venus, connects Venus with Madonna. Draped in earthly garments, Venus becomes the Madonna, a figure associated with the Christian Church. This represents the Church as offering a path to spiritual salvation and a return to divine love, symbolized by the pure Venus. The nude depiction of Venus, especially in Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, is often interpreted as representing a state of virgin beauty and purity. Therefore, Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty, is transitioning to the Madonna, the Virgin Mary. Nude Venus represents purity, while later her depiction in earthly garments as the Madonna symbolizes the Christian Church offering spiritual salvation. As you can see, Catholic Church in reality is praying to Venus, not Mary, or should I say, Venus under the cover of Virgin Mary. As I mentioned before, Semiramis had many names, including Ishtar, Isis, Diana, and Venus. This is a clear connection to the Babylonian times and pagan practices, and those people who participate in Catholic Church masses have no idea that the Mary they worship is in fact Semiramis. Ishtar, Venus, or Semiramis was also a goddess who held the title Queen of Heaven and Goddess of Love and War, embodying both powerful and contradictory forces. Ishtar was a goddess of love, fertility, and war. She was also associated with political power, divine law, sensuality, and procreation. As a fertility goddess, she played a role in ensuring the continuation of life, particularly in the agriculture season. Her worship also involved honoring the renewal of life and giving decorated eggs as gifts during the spring equinox. Moreover, The spring equinox was a time for celebrating fertility and the rebirth of nature, with Ishtar symbols like the egg and bunny representing these themes. I hope you can see the connection with Easter. Many skeptics, of course, reject those connections, calling it coincidences based on no evidence or taken from air. Let's have a look at the scripture and what God has to say about the Queen of Heaven. The children gather wood, the fathers light the fire, and the women knead the dough and make cakes to offer to the Queen of Heaven. They pour out drink offering to other gods to arouse my anger. Jeremiah 7 verse 17. We will certainly do everything we said we would. We will burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and will pour out drink offering to her, just as we and our ancestors, our kings and our officials did in the towns of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. At that time, we had plenty of food and we were well off and surrounded and suffered no harm. But ever since we stopped burning incense to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offering to her, we have had nothing and have been perishing by sword and famine. The woman added, When we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offering to her, did not our husbands know that we were making cakes impressed with her image and pouring out drink offerings to her? Jeremiah 44 verse 17 to 19. The Queen of Heaven has been worshipped by the house of Judah during Prophet Jeremiah's times. God was giving people many warnings, yet they were very stubborn on keeping their traditions. Just like we see today in Christianity, with many people being aware those celebrations are pagan, yet not willing to stop due to the family traditions. Unfortunately, those that participate in pagan traditions through churches will receive the judgment of God, as time and time God has been warning people to stop and has been very patient. The same would apply to Christmas and celebration of so-called Jesus' birthday. One of the symbols of Christmas is the Christmas tree. When we look at the origins of Christmas tree, we can see this coming straight from pagan practices. The history of Christmas trees has many roots, ranging from the use of evergreens in ancient Egypt and Rome to the German traditions of candlelight trees that made its way to America in the 1800s. Plants and trees that remained green all year had a special meaning for people in winter. In many countries, it was believed that evergreens would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits, and illnesses. Many ancient people believed that winter came every year because the sun god had become very sick and weak. They celebrated the solstice because it meant that at last the sun god would begin to get well. Evergreen reminded them of all green plants that would grow again when the sun god was strong and summer would return. As you can see, it all comes back to the sun god worship and Babylonian times. However, God was very clear what he thought about worshipping on the evergreen tree. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations which you shall dispossess serve their gods on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree, and you shall destroy their altars, break their sacred pillars, and burn the wooden images with fire. You shall cut down the carved images of their gods and destroy their names from the place. You shall not worship the Lord your God with such things. Deuteronomy 12 verse 2 to 4. Inflaming yourselves with gods on the evergreen tree, slaying the children in the valleys, under the clefts of the rocks. Isaiah 57 verse 5. And he sacrificed and burned incense on the high places, on the hills, and under every green tree. 2 Chronicles 28 verse 4. They set up for themselves sacred pillars and wooden images on every high hill and under every green tree. 2 Kings 17 verse 10. And he sacrificed and burned incense on the high places, on the hills, and on the evergreen tree. 2 Kings 16 verse 4. Only acknowledge your iniquity, that you have transgressed against the Lord your God, and have scattered your charms to alien deities under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, says the Lord. Jeremiah 3 verse 13. The Lord said also to me in the days of Josiah the king, Have you seen what backsliding Israel has done? She has gone up on every high mountain and under every green tree, and there played the harlot. Jeremiah 3 verse 6. Then you shall know that I am the Lord, when their slain are among their idols all around their altars, on every high hill, on all the mountain tops, and under every green tree, and under every thick oak, whether they offered sweet incense to all their idols. Ezekiel 6 verse 13. I think it is very clear to God that He does not want us to worship under every green tree. God is patient and He will keep warning people. However, just as they have chosen their own ways and their soul delights in their abominations, so will I choose their delusions and bring their fears on them. Because when I called, no one answered. When I spoke, they did not hear, but they did evil before my eyes, and chose that in which I do not delight. Isaiah 66 verse 4. Jesus also gave us a clear warning. He answered and said to them, well, did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites, as it's written? These people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me, and in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. For laying aside the commandment of God, you hold the tradition of men, the washing of pitchers and cups, and many other such things you do. He said to them, all too well you reject the commandment of God, that you might keep your tradition. Mark 7 verse 6 to 10. When Constantine accepted Christianity as his main religion, he didn't fully convert to Christianity. We could also argue the intentions of Constantine's conversion, which were purely political and economical, not out of love towards God or purity of heart. This was a strategic move to expand his reign as an emperor. While Constantine eventually embraced Christianity, he's also maintained a strong association with the sun god Sol Invictus throughout his reign, even after his conversion. He continued to depict Sol Invictus on his coins and other official motifs for a significant period after his conversion. Constantine's Sunday law in 321 AD, which made Sunday a day of rest, is also viewed by some as a way to blend the pagan traditions of honoring the sun god with the Christian practice of Sunday worship. Sunday law was not the only blend of pagan traditions. When looking at Babylonian gods, sun god worship was prominent in ancient Babylon and played a significant role in its religious practices. The Babylonians worshipped the sun god Shamash, who was often depicted as giving Hammurabi his law code. Shamash was part of an astral triad with the moon god Sin and the goddess of Venus, Ishtar. Can you see the connection there? Sun god and Venus, later Madonna. Another interesting point is papacy, and in particular, the costume and the hat that Pope wears. The fish-shaped hat is called mitre, which was worn by the pagan priest of Nimrod and Baal. Again, we come straight back to the Babylonian times, this time through the costume. When we examine St. Peter's Basilica, where the papacy headquarters is based, we find that this is in fact a pagan temple complex that predates Christianity by centuries. This location has been specifically chosen due to its origins and spiritual power it held by being full of pagan tombs, shrines, and burial temples. Every location holds its spiritual power, and Roman Catholic Church was very aware of that, having worshipped pagan gods in the past. St. Peter's Basilica inside it's a place of gold-carved images, pictures, altars, and boldly representing idolatry. Not to mention about Vatican's secret archives, a library with 53 miles of shelving and 35,000 volumes in a selective catalogue alone. The secret library contains hundreds of texts that were banned by the Roman Empire due to not fitting into the Roman Church narrative that they were painting. You have to remember that God has no secrets, and if there are secrets, it is not of God. Babylon is both a literal city and a symbolic representation of ungodly and worldly spirituality. Worldly, or in other words, universal spirituality. When we look at the word Catholic, which originates from the Greek word katholikos, meaning universal or whole, It fits into the description of Babylon in so many aspects. Bottom line is, Catholic Church only uses the code of Christianity. However, underneath is Babylonian tradition, just repackaged and rebranded with different names. With Catholic Church leading Christian Ecumenism, promoting unity and blending traditions, its purpose is to not only bring everyone to one and unified Sunday worship, but also political and economical agenda disguised as coexistence. There is nothing biblical when it comes to Catholic Church worship, and the deception lies in structural, performative worship and obedience. As people still need physical to feel like they are worshipping something real, praying while being surrounded by statues, monasteries, rosary, Eucharists, and relics. However, God requires worship in spirit and truth, the truth being biblical truth of the Old Testament that does not require any statues, relics, or objects. You just need an open heart, quiet room, and willingness to connect with God through the Spirit. No need for temples, churches, buildings, institutions, and rituals. It is time that people finally see what Jesus came to destroy, institutionalized and monetized faith, and for the people to open their eyes to the truth.